My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. This is the only channel dedicated to UFC fight picks and DraftKings lineups run by MMA insiders and professional fighters. Every week, I join Dan Kramer and Nick Newell, two longtime professional fighters that have fought at the highest levels on the planet, as well as Jacob Lyons, a skinny kid from Indiana. So join us every single week for our full fight card breakdowns, our individual fight card breakdowns, our betting guide, and our DraftKings lineups. Only one drop this week. Two people missed weight, but only one fight was canceled. Let's walk through our final lineups for UFC Vegas 25. I will go first. So I have Giga Chikadze. I'm going directly against the lock of the week. I think Swanson is on the way out, on the way down. He's very dangerous. He's very experienced. He can beat most people on any given day, but I think Giga is they're just on two completely different trajectories. His range is too good, and I just think he keeps Swanson at bay, touches him up, and beats him up pretty good. Might get a stoppage. If not, he's going to score a ton of points. I'm going with Davalishvili over Stamen, and it comes down to MMA wrestling. I just think Merab is a much smoother MMA wrestler, a much more relentless MMA wrestler. His strikes are there to set up the wrestling, and he will just get takedown after takedown after takedown. Stamen is probably one of the better wrestlers that he's fought, so he may not put up 15 takedowns like he has in the past, but I just imagine there's a ton of takedowns, and I see him getting it done. DraftKings scores 5 points for every takedown. 5 points is a ton of points. So it's going to be a very high scoring fight. And I think Merab is going to be, on the right side of that. I'm going with Sam Hughes over Look Boom Me. So Look Boom Me's giant favorite, one of the biggest favorites on the entire card, one of the most expensive fighters on the card. And I think Sam Hughes is tough enough, big enough, and smart enough to get that win. So Look Boom Me is a phenomenal Muay Thai fighter, but she's very small, fought at 115 pounds. So she's coming up in weight to fight one of the bigger women in the division. Sam Hughes, very big, very strong. I imagine she's going to close that distance, keep Lukbumi against the cage, take her down, and beat her up there. So I'm taking her for the win, and I have some bets on her as well, which we'll cover in the next video. Then I'm going with Jacoby over Kutalaba. This is a complete toss-up. I think Jacoby gets this done. But this is a very, very close fight. If you're not comfortable picking either one of these people, they're like JB is a decent replacement here. But I think Jacoby gets it done. I just think he's a little bit better everywhere. And his leg kicks are special. They're very powerful leg kicks. I think he's going to light up Kutalaba's legs, slow down those entries, slow down that power, and just nullify some of the striking of Kutalaba because because Jacoby beats up his legs. And I'm going with Michailidis over Bilar. KB Bilar, honestly, is not a UFC caliber fighter. And I think this is as close to a lock as you're going to get on this entire card. $9,100, you will 90% sure get a stoppage. So he's in there. I've got bets on Michailidis as well. I mean, that's as good as it's going to get. And then I have Jiri Prochazka over Dominick Reyes. And this is a trickier fight. Dominick Reyes, he's lost 2 in a row. He was on that great streak. He had the fight of the century against John Jones, but I think that was just all the stars aligned, and that was the best Dominick Reyes in history. And Dan mentioned it in our individual breakdown video where, although he's the greatest to ever do it, John Jones somehow makes people look good. So he allowed Reyes to look good, allowed Reyes to be busier than usual. And, we saw that when Reyes fought Jan Blachowicz, he didn't allow Reyes to do anything. And he went in there, he controlled the fight and stopped him. Prochazka has a ridiculous, crazy man fight style. He does insane things. He's very unpredictable. Plus, he has a ton of power. Plus, he's very aggressive. And I think his aggressive pressure, his crazy style, and his power, there's just more ways for him to win than Reyes. For Reyes to win, he has to keep the distance, keep the fight long. And I think Prochazka has no problem taking a couple shots to work his way in, and that will frustrate Reyes, overwhelm Reyes, and I think he stops Reyes. So that is my lineup. I am comfortable with this. The Jacoby Cutelaba fight is the only one on here that's probably a toss-up. But there are some plays there if you're not comfortable with that. But I think it's a nice back and forth fight with some solid scoring. I think Jacoby gets the better of it. So, Jacob, why don't you go ahead and walk through your lineup?
Yeah, a couple things, because you like to break down our lineups and digest our lineups, but nobody really digests your lineup. So let's digest your line. First of all, I can't believe you would spoil the lock of the week. The first thing out of your mouth was talking about the lock of the week. The people just watch the videos until they find out what the lock of the week is, and you spoiled it. So they already know that Cubs.
So you're implying nobody watched our video earlier in the week. Okay.
It's supposed to be a build-up, Angelo. There's suspense here.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, the second point is you guys keep talking about, and I was on your side originally about Sam Hughes, Lubumi, and the size difference. But when you saw them at faceoffs, and I took a screenshot and I sent you guys the picture, that size difference is not as big as on paper.
Here's the problem. You, and I get it. You have never done a combat sport. You've never wrestled. I don't even know if you can pick up your laundry without having to bend your knees first. So I get it. But there are different, size is not height. I'm bigger than Glover. We all know Glover Teixeira really well. We've all trained with him in some capacity, not you. And I am bigger than Glover. And he is 1,000 times stronger and more solid than I have ever been in my entire life, even in my peak fitness. So there are levels to size. And Sam Hughes is a much bigger person than Lukbumi, regardless of what the height is.
You literally just said that you're bigger than Glover, but he's stronger. But your argument is Sam Hughes is going to win because she's the bigger fighter. Got it.
It's everything that's bigger.
No, I got
Wrists,
it. No, I got it.
Everything's bigger.
No, you said it. No, you literally said.
Can you walk through your lineup, please?
This is getting awkward.
No, I got
Jacob.
No, please. I got it. No, I got it. Trust me. So my lineup starts with the backup lock of the week with Brown over Kai. I know Dan is starting to get really, really high on Kai, but I just love Brown grappling ability, and I think that he gets his fight to the ground and mauls him. I got Michaelitis, probably going to get a first-round finish. I got Pinheiro, probably going to get a first-round finish. I got Jiri, probably going to get a first-round finish. I got Sanders to maul Caleres. I think that the only way that Caleres wins this fight is by a submission. Usually anytime people chase submissions, they get mauled the entire fight until they maybe get the submission. I don't think he gets it. And then I got the lock of the week, Cub Swanson. I'm actually feeling better and better about this lock of the week. Originally, it was like it's a bias. I love Cub Swanson. He's my favorite fighter in the UFC, but I think it's actually the comments that came in from other people. Like, I think I like Cub. So now I'm like, hell, I think I like Cub too. So he's my lock of the week. I think he gets the job done. So I have 3 first-round finishes, 2 maulings, and Cub Swanson. So this is probably going to be another 6-0 lineup. I got this in some big leagues, so I'm probably going to come home with some big money this week.
Well,
another 6-0 lineup.
I like the TJ Brown. So when I walk through my lineup, I mentioned if you're not comfortable with Jacoby, you can make a swap. I meant to say swap for TJ Brown. I think I said the wrong initials.
Yeah, you said KB.
Yeah, I meant
to say JB.
I said JB. I combined TJ.
I was about to really rip you for that because then the very next one, you're like, KB Buller is not a UFC fighter. I was like, wait a second.
TJ Brown. So that's a swap because you have to weigh. I like TJ Brown a lot, and I honestly may make a last-minute decision 2 seconds before the fight start. But I think TJ Brown's a solid pick over Kamaka because of the style contrast and the grappling. It's tricky. So if you're not comfortable with either one of them, they're pretty much the same price, and you can do that swap.
And there's a big threat that Jacoby's going to pull out before the fight starts because Jan touched him at the weigh-ins. We saw what happened with Jeremy Stevens, 2 weeks ago or whatever. Someone touched somebody at the weigh-ins and they pulled out right before the
You went right into that collar tie and just like, boom, I am going to out wrestle you. This is what that feels like.
That was an aggressive weigh-in, especially after what's his name was injured last week. I was like, oh my God.
Jacoby, you could tell Jacoby did not like that. And he talked about in an interview about how he knows that this is going to be an emotional fight. And, Jan comes in emotional. So we'll see. This could be, I think I put a bet on.
Now I'm nervous about the.
Yeah, I think I put a bet on doesn't start the second round because that one's going to be wild.
I called it out in our earlier video. I'll be interested to see if it plays out like this. But Cutelaba went for takedowns like crazy against what's his name, the striker, and it was a total surprise, and he smashed him on the ground.
Well, that's what Jacoby said in that interview. He said, I think that Cutelaba is going to come out and shoot takedowns, and I thought like, well, I think that's ridiculous. But after what you were talking about, the takedowns in the one fight, and then he's coming out in the weigh-ins and doing that, it's like,
I mean, that's a wrestling collar tie. He slapped on him. Like,
if he doesn't shoot for takedowns, dude, he's explosive. He's a good. The only thing I worry about him is later rounds, the cardio. But
he's not going to make it out of the first.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right,
so
I got
Daniel,
him on my lineup, but yeah. Why don't you walk through your lineup here?
I made a bunch of changes from earlier in the week, and it revolved around the main event. I could just not put my finger on what I really thought was going to happen in that fight, and I kept flip-flopping. And normally you got to have a 5-round. If there's a 5-round fight, you got to have it in your DraftKings, right? I don't think this fight is going to go past 2 rounds. So the 5-round benefit of it doesn't really come into play. So I have neither guy in the main event. Now everyone's like in the comments are like, oh, you got to have the main event, exposure to both guys. I'm like, all right. So anyways, this is a cash game lineup, single entry format. So I want to put forward my best 6 that I think are the most likely and have the highest probability of scoring significant points. So anyways, agreed with everybody in the comments who was saying you got to have the main event. Multi-entry format, you probably want to have 50% exposure to both guys. For this, I don't have either. So first up, I got Botello over Luana Carolina. So I went back and watched some more tape on both of them, and I think this is it's going to be a tough fight, but Carolina just looks so hittable early in fights. A few of her fights, she got clipped in the first round every time. She's really tall. She has her chin straight up in the air. She's good in the clinch, but she just doesn't look to be, the same caliber of fighter as Botello is.
She's one of the ones that came in heavy too. We got to mention that.
Exactly. So, and she took the fight fairly short notice. I think it was like 4 weeks or whatever, which, is not nowadays. It feels like it's not short notice, but anyways, that's not a full camp, and she came in heavy, so that's a sign. And I just think Botello is going to be the overall better fighter as long as she can stay out of the tie clinch. I think she'll win this fight pretty dominantly, and I think there's a chance she gets her finish after watching tape on Carolina and how hittable she is. So I've got her in there for $8,900, a little more expensive than I wanted, but to make the rest of my lineup work, she was kind of the best play. Then I got Chikadze, similar to what you said, Angelo, although I do think this is going to be a closer fight than a lot of people are saying. I think Swanson is very live in this, but I think Swanson's style is going to benefit Chikadze's scoring because Swanson's going to push the pace, and Chikadze is a precise counter striker, and he's looked so good. He's on a really, really good win streak. He's on a 5-fight win streak. I think he's just the overall better striker. So I expect a ton of volume in this fight. And I think Chikadze will probably win a unanimous decision, scoring a ton of points and strikes along the way. So I've got him in there for $8,600. And then I got Cutelaba. Angela, you said it. This one is a tricky one. But I just think Cutelaba has more ways to win this fight and to finish this fight. I think there's a much higher upside on his scoring than Jacoby, and I think they're both around the same price. So I've got Cutelaba in there for $8,200. I think he could land a big shot early. I mentioned it in our earlier breakdowns. Jacoby is a great kickboxer, but he fights, especially defensively, a little bit like a kickboxer does with the big gloves. With the small gloves, all it takes is one big shot to change the entire outcome of the fight. So Cutelaba is going to be aggressive. He's going to throw heavy shots. And like we just were talking about, I think he's got some takedowns in his back pocket to mix things up. So $8,200. I like the upside with him. And we got Sam Hughes. So this is one. She is the biggest underdog on the card, cheapest fighter on the card. And I think she's a great value. I think she has multiple paths to winning this fight. And I think she has even more paths to making this an exciting, high scoring fight. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out because Lugbunmi, I think everybody's betting on her to win. She's looked great with her Muay Thai striking, but Hughes, like you said, is the bigger fighter. I think she has some wrestling. in her back pocket. And if she's smart, I think she'll come out and try to come out and wrestle, get it to the ground, and she should have a significant edge on the ground. And from what I saw in her fight, her title fight against Vanderoba, I think her name is, a few fights ago, she went 4 rounds and was winning that fight until she got caught in a submission. So I think she's a lot better than the odds suggest. I think it's going to be at least a close fight where Hughes should score enough points by a long shot to justify $6,800. So I've got her in there and hoping she pulls it out. Then I've got Kai Kamaka. Jacob, you were talking about it earlier. So I dug in a little bit on him. First of all, if you watch tape on him, striking wise, this guy is much more superior than Brown. He's the bigger, stronger, more athletic guy. And, you know, everyone keeps talking about his last fight against Pierce where he got kind of ragdolled and thrown to the ground. But what people aren't mentioning is that he took that fight, I think, on 7 days' notice. Jacob, you called it out, I know, earlier. But he also had his son, I think, a week prior. And since then, he's relocated full-time to Vegas where he's training with a good camp, getting probably wrestling looks. So I think this is going to be a very different fight. And I think he's probably learned from his last fight. And I would also say that Brown's wrestling is probably not on the same level as Pierce. You know, you were talking about the Griffin fight where he got all those takedowns. I mean, he got those so easily and still ended up getting finished with a guillotine. So I think Kamaka is going to be the much better fighter in this, more athletic, land a ton of strikes, defend the takedowns. And I think he's live for a finish, to be honest. So for $8,400, I got him in there. And then last, I got Michailidis. So this is the guy, Angelo, you always get me nervous when you say as close to a lock as possible, 90% chance. It just feels like a jinx, but I mean, to be honest, he should win this fight. He looked great in his last fight. If he lands those shots that he was landing in his last fight against Buller, he's going to put him down. And Buller keeps his hands down, doesn't look very sound defensively. So I think for $9,100, he's going to probably get a stoppage in the first or second round. So that's my lineup. I feel good with it. I did not touch the main event for this, again, because it's a cash game, single entry lineup. But going to be some interesting fights tonight. There's a lot of close calls, a lot of, you know, underdogs that are live. So I'm excited to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I completely agree. This is one of the trickier cards that we've done because they are a lot of good matchups here and a lot of question marks inside these matchups. How good actually is Reyes? What, you know, who's going to win out with Kutalaba Jacoby? There's a bunch of these fights where it could really go either way. And there's a lot of question marks.
I still say Kutalaba at $8,200 is the best value in DraftKings. I can't put him in my lineup. I described it before. He's burned me too many times, but at $8,200 with his not only grappling ability, but his power, his KO ability. I mean, just crazy that he's $8,200. But so yeah. I like that pick.
One thing I would say on the Reyes fight that actually kind of like sealed the deal for me to get out of it, because I had Prochazka in my lineup at first, just based off the pressure. But again, I went back and found, you know, again, it was a long time ago, but he fought a friend of mine, my teammate, King Mo. And the way he lost that fight was Mo, you know, Prochazka got his hands down, coming forward, swing crazy shot. Mo waited, timed a perfect counter, I think right hand, and slept him. So, I mean, Reyes is a good striker. That could happen. He also could get overwhelmed and just.
That is tricky, but King Mo has more power than Reyes ever had. Yeah,
but I think we all agree that Jiri's going to get hit. I mean, we see
he loves getting hit. No, he does.
He's going to get hit. And it's like, just is he going to hold up? Because eventually it's not going to hold up. I mean, that style just not going to hold up. So is it going to be this fight? Is it going to be 3 more fights? You know, so yeah, I don't mind the staying away from the main event play at all. I mean, Dan nailed it as far as they're probably not going to see the 5 rounds. So don't treat it like you have to pick the main event.
It's just so funny because people watching this are probably so frustrated because we've argued both sides of every coin here. So it is a really tricky card. So let me walk through Nick's very quickly. So Nick's not here. Nick is a full-time fighter. Dan's a retired fighter. That's why he looks the way he does. And he's just really let himself go. And His body fat percentage shot through the roof. His posture is complete trash. Nick, his body's a temple. He continues to fight. He's on the Bellator roster. He's fighting this summer. They just haven't announced it yet. So he's not here with us, but he did make us a lineup. He is touching the main event. And he's going with Dominick Reyes. He liked the value. And if you are high on Reyes, I mean, that $7,900 is a solid price for somebody who did beat John Jones technically, right? Or almost. He's going with Michailidis over Bilar. We discussed that. He's going the opposite of us. He's going with Luke Boomy over Hughes. And I talked to him about it. And he said Hughes is definitely a live underdog, but Luke Boomy's, Tiger Muay Thai striking is just so ridiculously good that even when Sam Hughes will come to tie up, that's when Luke Boomy will light her up with elbows and knees. He's going with Cub Swanson, so he agrees with the lock of the week. He's going with Jotko, so we don't have Jotko in any of our lineups. We did break down that fight. If you want to know more about that fight and any of the other ones we discussed, hit that video up. So he's going with Jotko because his speed is insane. His accuracy is solid. Dan, you discussed it because you trained with Jotko one or two times at American Top Team. So he's scooping him up for 7,000. And then he's going with Merab over Staman for the exact same reasons I said, which is the wrestling. So
Nick's going to have the best lineup this week. I just feel that. I feel a lot better about Luke Boomy. I'm coming around on Reyes, honestly. I think he's going to have the best lineup. Don't
confuse people even more than we already have.
I know, but I'm just saying, I honestly think that Nick has the best lineup this week.
Let's put it this way. Nick's lineup is the safest lineup. Like we're going with Sam Hughes against Luke Boomy is a big underdog play.
Easy
but,
with easy with the we. Easy with the we, not me. I wouldn't do that.
Well, Danny and I. Anyway, that's our breakdown. Comment down below. Curious to know whose lineup you like best and what you guys are doing in this very.
And if you like prop games, we're affiliated Monkey Knife Fight.
If you like daily fantasy prop games, check out the next video we're uploading where we walk through Monkey Knife Fight. It's a daily fantasy game where you don't create a lineup and compete against thousands of other people. You compete against their lines. They say Botello will throw 70 significant strikes. Carolina will throw 20 significant strikes, and you pick the more or less. And if you win, you triple your money. It's a ton of fun. Check out that video. But first, go to www.playmkf.com/wewantpicks and use promo code WWP. We just want to give a giant thank you to all of our members and to everybody who donated this week, specifically Jesse Correa, Dunchichi, Chris Jory, David Raymond, Chris Toronto, Ansi Music, and Jill Gretka. Thank you all very, very much. If anybody is interested in becoming a member, there is a join button down below. You'll get a fancy little crown in the comment section. If you're interested in sharing the wealth from all of our fantastic picks, there's a donation link in the description below. Thank you all very, very much for the support. It is much appreciated, and everything goes right back in this channel to give you the best possible production and best picks on the planet.
Definitely appreciate all you guys watching. Love interacting with you guys in the comments. So keep writing comments. We'll keep going back and forth. Jacob and I will keep arguing, or Jacob and Angelo will keep arguing. But really appreciate you guys tuning in and watching.
Get your crowns.
Before you go, check out the description below. In there, we have links to our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, and more importantly, to our DraftKings League. Check out the league, join the league, participate in the contests, and as we get going and as you start winning, we're going to start handing out gift cards and participating and doing things like that. So check those out. Every week, there are drops on every fight card. So make sure you check out this channel and our social media on Saturday before the fights start so that you have our most updated lineups and picks.